So Paul has been an executive creative director at very major London agencies and global agencies, Saatchi and Saatchi, FCB, and some amazing campaigns. The thing I love about working with a creative like Paul is years and years and years ago, when we first came down to Brighton, I did a leadership course and Paul came on it. And there was an exercise that you had to do with straight lines and how could you change that and make that more relevant. And Paul's brain just made them all wiggly and made it a completely different shape that nobody else thought about. And everyone just sat there going, oh my goodness, how did he do that? And that for me is like the genius of how the diversity of your brain, your cognitive creativity, the way you look at things, it just always amazes me. I love it. Absolutely love it. You've been living in China for about 6 or 7 years now, I think, haven't you?
And 10 years this year.
10 years, 10 years. Oh my goodness, 10 years.
Mm.
You've just produced a film in 2 days, a
Yeah.
competition that you were just doing. You've just written a book, which we'll come on to a bit later. And what do you think your golden thread is? I love always thinking about what someone's golden thread is, because you have an ability just to kind of not transform yourself, but to find what is the core of you and just develop it.
Wow. I don't know. I just like doing stuff that amuses me and hopefully other people, and not being too serious. I mean, I haven't been diagnosed ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I am. When I was a kid, they used to say I was hyperactive, which I just think is the same thing. I'll see something and go, oh, that's interesting, and then run with it for a bit, and then not always finish it, and then something else will take me. But so if I get an idea, I kind of go, all right, I've got to do it, and I try and get it.
Yeah. But it's like that picture behind your head, which people might not be looking at, is when you were in lockdown in China, you recreated by yourself in your apartment with whatever bits and bobs you had, really famous paintings like the girl with the pearl earring. You did Michael Jackson. You did just that whole creativity that also entertained us when we were all in lockdown. It was like, God, what's Paul going to do next? This is brilliant.
This is why I'm so excited that Paul's joining us on this conversation, because we want to look at reinvention. We want to look at how people keep morphing into a different area of expertise or skill or talent or whatever we call it, but something that, like, your brain looks at something so differently to how somebody else might look at it, and recognizing that as a skill and a talent, but actually how that's allowed you to adapt and find new uses for yourself and those skills. And I guess we're all trying to do that. I mean, podcasts weren't around that long ago, really, before we, now everyone seems to be doing the podcast.
They exploded in COVID.
But Soraya and I had never done a podcast before. We just thought we were having a really interesting chat that other people might be interested in. And that's what provoked us. We were like, well, why aren't other people thinking about these things? And some of it can be controversial, hopefully, because I want to tap into getting people to go, okay, challenge their own style of thinking and look at things in another way. And you clearly do that. So, that's why I wanted you along for the ride on this conversation, really. So coming back to 2026 then, how do we make sure that we're ready to clean slate something and still bring with us those things that serve us well, and perhaps the things that no longer do, and know to leave them behind? What do you do every year to clean out the cupboard and start the year fresh?
I generally make a resolution not to make a resolution.
Excellent. So do we.
Because I won't stick to it, because everyone does one and runs, everyone does dry January and then things like that. And then the thing I did for the last 5 years instead of dry January is I kept a note of the days I didn't have a drink. You just try and hit a number at the end of the year. And I think the first time I managed about 150, and then I thought, well, let me see if I can get let me see if I can do more than 183. So I'd had a drink less days than I did the year before. And then I think the third year I managed 200. The objective was to do 100. And one way you can do it is get one of those IKEA tape measures and just cut 1 centimeter off it each day you don't have a drink. I just, on my phone, just noted days that I didn't, and I managed to get up to over 200. I didn't do it last year. Maybe I'll do it again this year. Dry January is very difficult. And then, there's people have birthdays in January. There's things that go on in January where you kind of might slip. And if you just go, well, okay, I'm not doing dry January then you don't make any effort. So I think one way is to make it more, I guess it's sort of making it more achievable, but actually I think it's better because it's over the whole year.
But
Yeah.
you saying that, Paul, just came to mind that that's almost like you're giving yourself, you've looked at it in a very different way. So you haven't done the obvious, which is, everyone goes, right, I'm going to go dry January. But also that you were quite enjoying giving yourself a challenge and how you were going to beat it all the time.
Yeah, because it set me, so yeah, because each year I tried to improve it. Whereas if you do dry January every year, it's always going to be 31 days.
Yeah.
So I wrote down, it's more about the trajectory that you're taking around your relationship with alcohol in this conversation, rather than did you manage to not have a drink for 31 days?
Yeah.
So it's more about mapping it out across a longer period, which is more of a challenge, really.
Well, it probably is, and also it's more of a definite lifestyle change rather than just taking a month off.
Yeah, and I get that. And funny enough, before you joined us, Saraya and I were talking about, because we've set intentions for the year, things that we want to achieve, but we've not set them as goals. They're kind of an intention for how we want to be, how we want to be on the podcast this year, things that we want for the podcast. And we've set those very clearly defined intentions, but they're not in corporate language. There's no sort of KPIs around them. They're just that trust that they are the right things to focus on to achieve the results that we'd be happy with.
Yeah.
That just sort of links me into, because we always focus on leaders because they're influencing so many humans in the world. How do you think leaders might need to start adapting and changing to be relevant for their workforce in engaging and bringing them along with their intentions or goals for a year?
It's really about not dictating what people should do, just maybe being more encouraging. I think that's the thing. It's like not putting pressure on people that they've got to do something a certain way, but just letting them know what you're doing so that they might be inspired to do it themselves.
Yeah.
I don't want to hone in completely on it, but the fact that you have spent nearly a decade living in China, which is a very different working culture and environment, what do you notice as the main differences that culture starts to impact the way people prepare and set goals?
I don't know if people, because the thing is, Chinese New Year is different time to calendar New Year.
Yeah.
Their reset is really more Lunar New Year. But that time is a very family focus. It's more family focused than we are at Christmas. It is the equivalent of our Christmas in terms of everyone goes back to see family, but I think family is way more important to them during Chinese New Year. It's the biggest migration of humans on the planet.
Is it really?
Yeah, the stat I always get, because everybody goes home to their hometown. I think it's a bit of a marketing thing by gyms and healthy brands. But whether it's a cultural thing like we have in the West, I'm not really as aware of it. I don't think New Year's resolutions is a thing. They spend a lot of money getting prepared. Like here, everything's about the Christmas ads, the John Lewis Christmas ad. Over there, it's the Chinese New Year ad is the thing.
Yeah.
Apple the last few years, they've done like a 15-minute mini movie.
Wow.
Yeah, the first one they did was about, I think was 7 minutes long, and then they've got longer and longer. They're like 15-minute movies now.
Wow. Does that actually keep people's attention span? Because one of the things we were going to talk to you about was kind of AI and burnout and everything else like that. But 7 minutes to watch something.
People go and watch movies that are 2 hours long. The big change has been the ability to collect data on what people are watching. Too much data, in my opinion. Like 30 years ago, when I was a kid, everyone sat in the pub and talked about the latest Carling Black Label advert and how funny it was. Like now you post it on your social media. It's no different. But the problem now is that the content is just not interesting anymore because the algorithms are driving clients to say, oh, you've got to have a brand, you've got to have the brand in the first 3 seconds. You've got to, so you're now watching something that is clearly an ad in the first 3 seconds. So of course you're going to turn it off. If you watch feature films, they're much more cutty faster edited in the first 15 minutes, because they're basically saying the first 15 minutes of something on Netflix, if that doesn't get people, they won't watch the rest of the series. So that's the 3-second equivalent of a commercial.
I was listening to a conversation where they were saying that the other thing they're doing is, it was a filmmaker, and I don't know the details, but they were talking about the fact that they're now focusing on making sure that they're slowing things down at certain points as well, accepting that people are probably on multi-devices. They are probably watching a movie, got their phone out, maybe have their iPad out, and they're doing something else along with it. So they deliberately will slow elements down in order to allow for people are probably back on their phone now, or they're probably checking this, or they're probably doing that.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true as well. I mean, I think that there is a definite awareness of the two-screen, multi-screen thing, and attention, but it's I think that my biggest issue with data is it only tells you what. So it tells you that people stopped watching after 3 seconds. Doesn't tell you why.
Yeah, the why is the critical question.
And why is the bit that everybody overlooks everywhere, and you know, assumptions are made. Oh, and then conclusions are made and rules are made. Got to have the logo in the first 3 seconds, which then exacerbates the clicking off up before 3 seconds. I had a client once where, when this was a kind of newish thing, I said, can I A/B test with and without the logo at the front to see which one they click off sooner? And they wouldn't let me do it because they were afraid of what the data would tell them.
But isn't that, in a way, that says two things to me? One is the story arc has changed, but the second thing is they're not actually working with the brain. And we know that the brain is all about emotions. And I know you and I have talked about this in the past, Paul, how one of the reasons the kind of tracking doesn't work is they can't track people's emotions and what's happening, and that's where the story comes in.
Yeah, well, actually, they claim they can. That's the thing. Is I went and did one once where they stick sensors on your head and they go, your emotions up here, and then the happiness is up, and then the attention is up, or whatever. And they want the happiness up, the attention up, and everything up, and then it all drops down there. And then you look at it, you go, oh, it's dropped down. Why is it dropped down there? Oh, it's when the product appears in the ad. But you've got to remember, it's an ad. You're not going to be able to keep that, and they're failing. They were failing very good conceptual work that was really good everywhere else, on the basis that when the product was introduced, people's emotion dropped, or people's engagement dropped. It's like, well, of course it drops.
I want to pull in Saraya with the brain stuff here, because what's going on and what I'm hearing is, we can't stay at those heightened emotions of joy and happiness without having those dips, regardless of what caused it to dip. Can you tell us a little bit about, from the brain perspective, what might be happening there, Saraya?
Again, it comes down to individuality, doesn't it, in terms of emotions, because we're all primed to our own emotions through our own experiences and our own genetics and everything else like that. But I think it's what Paul is saying. It's people, you can't sustain a very high emotion. It's exhausting for the brain. And we know that the brain gets tired very, very quickly and is always preserving energy. But again, it's that story. It's how you actually involve people, because I think you can engage people for a lot longer than we realize. When you're feeling joyous and happy and you're laughing and you're buzzing and you've got oxytocin, you've got all these wonderful things going on. You're in that story, aren't you? Your focus is there. You're in it. It's the moment someone snaps you out of it that changes your emotional state, and you'll go into maybe go into more of a where your focus has been broken, your engagement's been broken. You don't feel part of that story anymore. So I think in terms of the brain, it's the narrative, it's the habits, it's the patterns it's looking for, it's the safety it's looking for, it's the part of feeling connected that is really, really important.
It's like a movie. You have to have a story arc, and you have to have peaks and troughs of emotion, because otherwise it becomes boring. It becomes all the same.
Yeah.
You have to slowly build the tension, and then break it, and then build it again and break it to make the journey interesting.
Because people do. That's you watch a good movie and you feel part of it, don't you? You feel part of the story. You don't even realize you're there sometimes.
Yeah. You get the tense bit, and then you're like, oh, thank God that bit's finished.
Yeah.
By having those natural tempo changes, you're allowing people to stay immersed.
Yeah, you're reconnect. You know, you're kind of
You're staying with them.
Yeah, you're playing with them. Yeah.
Which comes back to the point of they're probably going to need to look out and check on their messages, or they're probably going to have to look on their Instagram. Yeah. So we're staying with them. We're allowing that tempo to come with us.
Yeah.
AI is undoubtedly a hot topic for us, and how that changes the way we're working, but also how we're thinking. You as a creative, who I really want to make sure we find time today to also talk about just how many transitions you've had, the wonderful, amazing careers you've carved out within many careers within your career. But I'd just like to, again, probably because so much of it comes out of China, some of the innovations and some of the things that are going to perhaps change this time next year, what people are taking in with them, that they naturally use as part of their support system to achieve work. So, for example, I know you're not a fan of ChatGPT, but I use it daily now. Zoom I use daily, and that started pre-lockdown for me because I was already coaching online. But there are things that are coming along at such a fast pace that we are going to adopt them this year.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean,
what are the things that you think we need to be looking out for, that you think is going to come along and be a standard day-to-day thing for us?
I mean, I think most people are using, a LLM, ChatGPT or whatever. I use DeepSeek and Claude personally.
Yeah.
And I use them every day. It's not like I don't dislike them in what they are. They're very, very useful tools, but I dislike the way some people, particularly in the creative industry, it's like there's a brilliant quote that someone made, and I can't remember. She said, "I want AI to do the washing up and laundry for me so that I can spend time being creative. I don't want it to do the creative stuff so that I'm left doing the washing up," something like that. And it's brilliant, because that, unfortunately, the way it's going is the other way. It's not doing the things we don't want to do. It's doing the things we like doing. To a large extent, it's just enhanced Google. It just scrapes the internet and then gives you an answer in a more chatty way, or writes it into a document formats it in a document way. But it's still doing the same thing. But what I just like in terms of I think the creative industry has been broken by it, because people think that you can do everything that a creative did with AI, because you can make an image and you can write you can write a bit of text. Doesn't mean it's any good, and it doesn't. The most important thing is you need a human input at the beginning to tell it, to brief it, like saying it's like a creative department, and then you need a human at the end to curate the result, and probably most likely quite significantly amend the result to get something that's actually good.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's too many people put it in. What good enough is killing creative, and I think what's happening is clients and businesses that didn't really value creativity before and didn't want to spend money on marketing and advertising, those people now, anyone who was doing work for those kind of companies are redundant, because they can do it themselves. They can do a good enough poster for them in their head, good enough. I mean, it makes me laugh, some of the stuff I see posted in groups in China of these creative coaches, and the poster is just shit. Like, there's no design heart. It's not about using the right font. It's just about communications. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a shit font. It's got so much information on it, so cluttered, laid out, that I don't know what I'm looking at. I go, is this an event? Is this a thing I go to? Is it, what do I... and because they just put everything in, and that's where the training of a creative is. What's important? What's the number one thing? What do people need to know about this thing? There's your headline.
What are we actually trying to say first and foremost?
What's the message I'm trying to communicate? What's important? When I've seen things that are all this information, and I go, when is it? They haven't put the date on it. It's just like, because they chuck it all in ChatGPT or something, it gives them a poster, and they go, great, I've got a poster, bang. And they don't look at it or think. They don't think. It stopped people thinking. I think that's the biggest danger with AI is it stops people thinking for themselves.
So we've become quite good at it. We've talked about it a lot, and we've had people on like Ross Stevenson a couple of times now, where he talks about developments in that space and some of the risks, and like you said, that repetitive task stuff, using it for that, but how to use it to challenge your thinking, not replace your thinking.
Yeah.
And one of the things that Soraya said very early on is when she was explaining to me about the brain. When we first met, I first went on your course, was that the first thing you need to do is sort out what you're asking of your brain. What is the question? And I think we need to do the same. And what we've learned is we take the same thoughts, that we treat it like another brain. So we think about carefully what we're asking it and what context we're giving it to allow it to give us a better answer. Yeah. And it's made me sharper, I feel, with things that I ask my brain to work out if I'm problem solving, but also how I communicate and work with my chosen AI.
Yeah, I mean, I use it for brainstorming. I'll just go, give me a list of 20 things related to X, and then I can look at them and go, actually, those three are interesting, and then so it's great for that. But it's not for. I mean, I did a couple of years ago when it was first coming out. I was working on a brief for an outdoor brand, and I thought, I'll just ask it to write a script for it, and it did write a script for it, and it was very descriptive and very, quite visually interesting. But it was so generic, it could have been for anything.
Yeah.
It was, and that's the difference between, and I think that's the thing is like a lot, these good enough clients will put that out there and it'll be fine, but it won't have any impact on their business at all.
No.
Yeah.
And I think that's a key thing that, for instance, when I ask it to write for me and I challenge it, challenge me, what's my thinking? But actually, a couple of times now, I've turned everything back into my language because I don't feel it's my voice.
Always do it.
Not my voice. It's not who I am. But I think a lot of people are using it for the grunt work, and they expect. And what's going to be interesting is your point about the work in China. Is how many of these brands actually grow and land? Because if there's no emotion, there's no engagement. It's just copy being thrown at you. There's repetition that's happening already. You can see it, emails people send you, you know that it's not a real human being, and you kind of move away from it.
Now, at the beginning, Soraya introduced you as having this beautiful golden thread. I'd like to have you sort of just do a little bit of a walkthrough of why we talked about that golden thread, because you've done so much. I mean, yes, we've talked a bit about your creative industry, but you also do stand-up comedy. You just, we've got a book that we're going to promote for you at the end. Just never stop, and it's just not logically or obviously connected. So I'd love for you to give us a little walkthrough.
My first money-paying job was DJing, which I started when I was like 14. Used to do parties and weddings and things like that because I love music, and for me, it was a way of buying records. I could justify buying records because I got paid for it. So I spent all my money on records, which were records I was buying to do the next DJ thing. And I did that. I DJ pretty much up until my mid-30s. So when in terms of creativity, like a DJ is not playing records. They should be playing a room. You're playing the audience. Your job is to make the audience go up and down in motion. You play. If you just play records or just play music, you're not DJing. You're just playing records.
Yeah.
The whole point of being a DJ is to bring the room up and down and move the room. And you have these banker songs that will fill the dance floor, and then you're chucking one that is so random that half the people will leave, but half the people will go, "Oh my God, I haven't heard this for 20 years." Or they'll go, "What the fuck is this? But I like dancing to it." And if it fails and you chuck in another banker, that's how I used to play. And that's how that's how DJs should play, but they don't. They just play a set list of stuff they've got rehearsed. And they're not even looking at whether people are engaged by it. I would find that soul destroying to play in a room when no one was listening to my music.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
So funny. I went to my first festival last year, and they had a guilty pleasures tent in the evening.
Yeah, brilliant.
And it was rammed in there. You barely had room to put your feet moving and join in.
Love
And
that.
it was brilliant.
Yeah, and they will be playing. They'll be those guys will be watching the room, going, okay, so they dance to X, so that means they'll like Y. I mean, it's very easy. If you know enough music, you know what people react to. If they react to that one, you know they're going to like that one. And those, that. So I think that's my analogy for DJing is you play the room. The thing with the equivalent of my equivalent in photography, because I love photography again, is that I'm in so many groups where people take pictures of stuff, and it's like the thing with photography is you've got to see the picture before you take it. So I want to pick, this is the picture I'm going to take, and then you take the picture, not snap. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. That's a good one. Being a photographer. I used to say it's about the eye is the tool, not the camera.
Mm.
And it's the same. It's all kind of the same. It's like the DJing is the room and the ear. Camera is the eye. It doesn't matter what camera you use. If you've got the eye, you can take it on an iPhone, or you can take it on a, £20,000 Hasselblad if you want it. But the photo, the framing, and the moment you're capturing is here, not here. The problem is that all these tools have made all these skills available to everyone, but it's only the people that have really actually got the eye and the ear and the stuff that are actually already good and that might cut through. The difficulty is now it's much harder to cut through because there's so much shit out there.
So how do companies then, Paul? What would you, because a lot of our listeners are companies, businesses that, I have a saying, you either innovate or die, quite frankly, in the world that we're in.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on how businesses and companies should innovate? Because, well, they need lots of people like you, obviously. We know that, with brilliant ideas and brilliant eyes. But what do you think? What can you say to them?
Like a creative person isn't someone who draws pretty pictures or does colouring in. Like it's a way of thinking. It's like, again, this is what we talked about before. Sorry, you said at the beginning. It's like, so you give me a brief, the problem. Like most people will look at the problem to try and solve the problem. So I'm looking at the problem. A creative looks over there, and I say it's like ADHD. They go over there. Oh, look, there's an answer that will solve this problem, because a creative doesn't look at the problem. Like you look around, you solve it by looking around it, not at it. And that's a fundamental difference in the creative mind. Is you find a solution to a problem by not looking at the problem, whereas the instinctive thing that most people do is they just stare at the thing until they come up with an idea that might answer it, but it isn't, not necessarily the right thing. You get, classic. If you're Henry Ford, I think if you ask people what they wanted, they want a faster horse.
Yeah.
Whereas you go, no, actually, you want a vehicle, they want a car.
That's so weird that you should mention Henry Ford, because we actually got the quote for today as if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that was also Henry Ford.
Oh, right. Interesting. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, but again, it's the problem was that the horses weren't capable of doing enough, or they got tired, or they crapped in the street. So, everyone's looking at horses. How do we fix horses? Don't have a horse. Yeah. It's the same with any problem. Any problem is quite often not the thing you're looking at. It's something that you've not thought about. And that's where creatives add massive value to businesses. But I think creatives are generally looked down upon as airy-fairy, slightly scatty people who, might not be much help. But actually, it's really valuable. And I'm not just talking about doing advertising. I'm talking about actually business solutions.
I don't think it's always that external person that they need to bring in expertise like you bring. It's also looking at creativity amongst the people in their business. Serena and I are always talking about use all the brains in your business.
Yeah.
Not just the leaders.
I don't care where an idea comes from if it was a good idea.
We've spoken about this. The whole neurodiversity piece is so important because, as you know, we don't believe in putting people in boxes. I've never met a neuronormal brain. I don't know what that looks like. I just know that everybody is their own genius, and it's tapping into that creativity and that having the confidence to do it, actually, because you did stand up, learning from, you know, I know that you were quite a shy person when I first met you, and now look at you. Yeah, but it's that thing about having the confidence to do it, isn't it? And the belief.
I think
Yeah,
it's possibly one of the scariest things you could do, but that's my brain and my way of looking at it. Tell us about that.
it's weird that the thing with stand up is it's. I mean, I did it because I am shy. Everyone, for want of a better word, someone suggested I did it to try and help, and I went, and I was really not convinced. You know, sitting in this room with 20 other people doing this stand up course to start with. And then you had to, like, after 3 weeks, I don't know, there was some basic, I don't remember the course, it was so long ago, but it was like, after a couple of weeks, each person had to tell a joke in front of the room. And it was just like, everyone went, and I said, I can't do it. I just couldn't do it. And then the teacher, the comedian running the course said, just shut your eyes and lie on the floor and just tell your joke. And I did. I had to. I don't know. I can't remember what the joke was. And I went home and I thought, I'm never going back to that ever again. No way I'm going back. And one of the guys off the course rang me up next day, and he said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." He said, "I want you, mate. I want you to promise me something." I said, "Well, what?" He said, "I want you to promise me you're going to come back next week, because you're not, are you?" I said, "No, I'm not going to come back." He said, "Please come back, because what you said was funny, and I think you've just got to try and, you know, just give it another go." And if he hadn't made that call, I wouldn't have gone back.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. I'll never forget it. And then when you got to the end of the course, you had to do a 5-minute show to friends and family. When I did that, it went really well. And then it's just an addiction. The buzz when you come off the stage of, like, everyone's laughed. It's amazing. And you're like, I want to do it again. But immediately, as soon as you've signed up to do another gig, you're like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. What have I done? And I'd be terrified before I went on, but then each time, and I'd be sitting there waiting to go on, I would, like, God, it's going to be a disaster. And then you go on and it goes okay, and you walk off going, I've got to do it again. It's total addiction. I would love to do it again, but I'm at too much of the, oh my God, I can't do it again. I've done a bit of public speaking in China, which again I've really enjoyed and makes people laugh, and I've got a reputation for being quite good at that. And I think that because of the stand-up. But again, I'm nervous when I do it. One of the questions someone asked me actually after the talk was like, how do you be creative like that? And I said you can't. It's just the way your brain works. I can't teach you how to do it. You kind of, without being sounding arrogant, or it's like you've either your brain either works like that or it doesn't.
Yeah.
It can't be taught. You can be taught how to use a camera. You can be taught how to use AI or whatever, but you can't be taught how to think. You can train your brain how to think, but I think it's very hard to teach someone to think, to look over there, because if you deliberately look over there for the solution, it's not the same as your brain just going off in that direction.
Yeah.
No, but this is why we know that people will have their best ideas when they're in the shower or going for a walk.
Exactly.
So they have to find their equivalent of you looking up in their way of solving a problem. And if they think back hard enough, how did I solve that? How did I solve that? What was I doing?
Yeah.
They'll probably find their own way of tapping into their own problem solving and ability to critically think.
Exactly. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
The thing you mentioned about your DJing, going back to the beginning, and also when you were talking about being on stage, was that it's about playing the room. And whether you're presenting, it's about playing the room. I think that's quite a key thing to just draw out on. And it goes all the way back to that attention, that word attention, grabbing attention and recognizing where you've got it and that why. Yeah. And then using it to make sure that room stays with you.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're, for me, really key things that a leader has to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
We always have 2 signature questions that we always ask our guests, which the first is, what is your leadership secret?
I don't necessarily think of myself as a leader, although like, you know, more recently I've been doing directing some films, which is very much a leadership, you know, it's a leadership role. I'm not a dictator. I'm open to anyone coming forward with an idea. Everyone's opinion is valid. Even if I don't agree with it, it doesn't mean it wasn't valid.
Yeah.
It's the answer for this particular moment or this particular problem. So I think it's about being very open. No hierarchy. So flat hierarchy, meritocracy. Those are the kind of key things I'd say. Is like, you know, everybody's just as important as everybody else within the team. Worst leaders I've worked with are the ones that are just self-focused and very hierarchical. Like, I'm the boss, you do what I say.
Yeah, this is how I do it. This is the way to follow it. This is the way it needs to be done.
You're not going to achieve change if you're not listening to your team. And like, why have a team if you? I mean, it's why bother? My rebellious pushback against my leader, if I've got time, it was my last boss in Shanghai in Saatchi's, not where I've worked more recently, who always wanted to have a creative meeting every week. And he started this creative meeting, and the first meeting we all went, you know, there was only three creative director leaders that were in the meeting. And the first meeting he said, all right, so we, you know, have we got any issues in the department, blah, blah, blah. And I said, yeah, we don't have enough creatives. They're all underpaid. They're all miserable because they work late, and they all want to leave. And he was like, oh, yeah, you know, well, what can we do about that? Well, you know, we can try and make things better, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, cut to the following, I think 2 weeks later, we had another meeting because I think I convinced him that once a week was too much because nothing happened in a week. And the other two creative leaders that were in there, they're both Malaysian. They were both, how can you say that? And I said, well, that's what you think, isn't it? And they went, yeah, it is what we think, but I don't think so. Because I don't care. He needs to know. And so we had another meeting. The following meeting, he asked the same question. And I said, exactly the same as last time. Everyone wants to leave. Everyone's miserable. Everyone's overworked. No one's getting paid enough. And he said, don't come to me with problems. You come to me with solutions. So I said, okay, I have the solution for you. Let's get more people. Let's pay them more. Let's give them time off.
Yeah.
And let's get some clients that don't give them shit all the time. That was the last meeting we had. It's pointless. Not wasting my time.
Yeah. They just want to hear what they want to hear, and that's it. Yeah. No, so that leads, because you've just made us laugh. So that leads beautifully into the next question, which is, how do you create joy and laughter with your teams or your communities? Because there lots of laughter on your film when you were doing the outtakes from the film you were watching.
I just try and make everything fun. I mean, don't make it like work. The Diesel clothing had a line 20 years ago that I still like, which was just be stupid.
Yeah.
I just think, you know, what's the point in being serious all the time? Life should be fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not happy all the time, and I suffer with, you know, depression and anxiety and things, but try and make it fun. I don't know, maybe some might say it wouldn't get me the respect from the team I need, but I just try and, you know, I'm always trying to make the team laugh. And if a client gave stupid feedback, I would make it obvious to the team that I agreed with it, that it was stupid, and we'd laugh at it, and then we'd crack on and get the work done.
Yeah.
It's like, so just, you know, just try and make life fun. It's miserable enough.
But it's the most important thing, because the brain responds to that as humans. We respond because that's laughter, which is really good for us. You feel you're in a safe space, you're trusted, you're heard. And actually, you know, there's so much research now that's just saying that your brain is just locked together and just, you connect. That's what it's all about.
I would like to know a bit more about your book and your film, so that we can make sure that gets put on to the guest page, and we can put the links in there for the people that are listening in that have been amused, and you've held the room and you've kept them going with you and your emotions up and down through our conversation today, that they can go and see more of where Paul's had that intervention in that room. So tell us about the film first.
Yeah, so the film was, I mean, I've always been I've always wanted to be making film, you know, I made commercials, but I wanted to be making storytelling film more. And because I lost my job at the beginning of last year, I had a lot of free time on my hands, and so I started sort of playing with stuff, and I met someone else who was doing the same thing, and then we collaborated on one film, and then there's this competition in Shanghai. Well, it's global competition where you make a film in 48 hours from start to finish. So you get given a line of dialogue, an object, and a character that have to be in the film, and then you have to write that film it, edit it, upload it, finished in 48 hours. And you get a genre, you pull a genre out of a hat, lucky draw a genre out of a hat, and we pulled out musical. And I was just like, oh, what am I going to do? And then, because I have a very talented musician friend, I rang him up and said, are you busy this weekend? Do you fancy having a crack at writing some music for a musical? And he said yes. And then the kind of the rest of the history, we did it. I had a laugh. The film is stupid, but funny. And we actually won the competition, which was just blew my mind, because it's like the first time I've done it, I didn't expect anything. I expected maybe we could win for using the prop well, and maybe for the music. We got both of them and 4 other awards, including the best film.
Brilliant. Yeah.
So yeah, we can share a link to that. So it's not.
And it is very good. It's very funny.
Not perfect because it's made in 48 hours, but it is fun and stupid.
Mm.
Again,
that was made in 40 minutes. We hope this isn't perfect, but still brilliant.
But that was a very much a team effort, you know. So going back to the leadership thing, the only thing you can prepare before that film, because you know when it's going to be made, is finding a location, finding a team which is actors and technicians. That's all you can prepare, because everything. I mean, some people prepare a script, but I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do it properly. But the thing I had a chemistry meeting the week before, the Friday before the Friday where you get briefed. I had a chemistry meeting in a pub where it was just to meet everyone and get the vibe of the people I didn't know, and get everyone on board. And it was really good. Only one person I decided that I didn't want on the team, and I gently excused them from the team before the event, because I just felt that they weren't, the vibe wasn't right. So again, with leadership, it was like the chemistry was everything in that team. Everyone mucked in. There were no prima donnas and no egos. It was complete flat, and that again, leadership, brilliant for that, and great result. On that team, we did another one that most of that team, anyone that was available, helped us do another one. We did another film as well. So I can post a link to that. And then the other one is
I'm nervous about this one because I don't know how I'm going to close off after you introduce this.
The book that myself and a friend wrote. Again, we were just messing. We're on a Zoom call like this, and we're just talking. And I don't know how we ended up. We were talking about farts. I don't know how. We started quoting all the phrases that we use for when someone farts. Like, the butlers at the pantry door is one of my favourites.
I've never heard of that.
No, why?
There's another one that's not in the book. Alan, there's one which is Alan. We're all out here on the patio, which comes from when a friend's uncle needed to fart, and he stuck his window out his bum out the patio doors and farted, forgetting that half the people that were at the house were outside. Airs and Disgraces is a book about ways of excusing yourself or other people for when they farted. So it's phrases like that and a bit of their entomology, that kind of thing.
I mean, it's going to be
on Amazon, isn't it?
It's on Amazon, and it's very stupid.
We'll also put the link for it so people can find it on Amazon easily and put it in their basket, save for later, ready for December this year.
Yeah, and again, so we used AI for the images. So the images are, again, they're AI, but a bit of Photoshop as well. So that, because again, it's hard to get the images perfect, but things like, that we wanted a lady coming out of a portaloo in a Victorian style. It's that kind of thing. So, but again, it's when I was talking about photography, about you've got to see the photo before you take it. With AI, you got to know the image you want before you before you not just go, I want a picture of a lady on the toilet, and then the first one that comes out, you put it in, which is what happens with good enough.
I grabbed that because I saw that as quite an important thing for 2026 for leaders, because they need to see the picture before they execute it.
Exactly. Yeah. So like this one, yeah. I bet this is one of the best. I bet there was a lot of paperwork. That's after you've been to the loo again, and you've been quite a long time.
Yeah, I think we got that, Paul. We understood that. You didn't need to explain it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my goodness me. Well, somehow Sarah and I are on our own with the next episode. We will bring it back to the main topic of the conversation, which is around that diverse workforce and how to keep them all coming with you as we continue to navigate the technological advancements and the things that are going to change the way we work, probably in 2027. Stay with us on that one. And on that point, we are getting more and more followers. We want more of them to go with them. When we looked at our data last month, it told us that China are listening more. I don't know whether that's you.
Just all you, Paul.
Word over there, Paul.
Yeah.
But they're our largest listeners at the moment. I think that's because we talk so much about AI and innovation. Yeah. Then it's the US, and then it's the UK. Oh, wow. So it's the first time we've had another country listening more than our own country. So that's pretty phenomenal. Yeah. So if you are listening, share it, comment, star us, whatever it is, Google rate us, and rating us on whichever podcast channel you choose to listen to us on. And also, we're at a level now where we're 4th year in, the listeners are rising, the influence is getting out there.
Yeah.
We would like to engage with a sponsor this year. That's on our intentions for 2026. So we wanted to finish with that today. Thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed everything right the way through to the end. Fabulous art discussion. And I don't think I predicted that we'd be finishing with that word at the end of this episode. So thank you all for staying with us. Look forward to joining us next time on Brainy Podcast.
Paul. Take care. Bye.
It's fun. Okay. Bye-bye.
Enjoyed this episode? Listen to more at brainycast.com.